Bon Adams LLP Solicitors Legal Show and Radio Seerah. We conduct this show every Tuesday between 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and we give recent developments in various areas of law. We are full-fledged. Bon Adams is a full-fledged service law firm, and we deal with litigation, property, family law, employment law, immigration law. Today's topic is immigration, is business and personal immigration. Geet spoke to you about spouse visa application, what are the dangers involved if you do the application yourself, and how the legal representative can help the in the application process, although it's a little bit cost you a little bit more, but it will save your time and money. Is a lot of fees are involved, home office and fees are involved, so it's better to get it done right in the first place, and it will save you time and money in future. So, and then we discuss about sponsorship lessons. I just want to add a couple of things on that. People tend to do sponsorship lessons applications themselves as well. Again, once it gets refused, there is some, like now they're trying to introduce some kind of cooling period where you will be restricted to make the next application for a certain time. It hasn't been introduced yet, but it's been, if the license is revoked, then you are banned to apply for 1 year. But it's also, they're trying to introduce this on a sponsorship license applications as well. So yes, Geet, what will be the next topic we will discussing?
Now, recently over the weekend, I had a family friend who wanted to know if they can get a carer back from India to actually look after their grandmother at home. So this is not a care worker job in any care home which has a sponsorship license, but it's just for home care. Is that possible?
It's a very, very good question, and I have a lot of queries. Almost, at least I would say once a week, I get this query that somebody wants to bring some sport worker, care worker, or healthcare assistant to help their elderly parents, grandparents, aunties, aunts, and who are having mobility issues. But unfortunately, this is not the spirit of this whole idea of sponsorship. So you cannot sponsor a person, whether it's a skilled worker, it's a care worker, or it's a health carer, or it's a sport worker, or it's a healthcare assistant in a private household. This is not allowed. So you need to apply for sponsorship license through. You need to apply if you think your parents, grandparents, or any relative is suffering from any mobility issues and they want support. So they need to go to their local council. They need to they apply for assess to be all these sport workers, health workers, or health carers, and they will assess their situation, and then if they qualify, they will provide them options who they can contact, and who these will be the companies who will have, or organizations, or organizations which have sponsorship license, and they are allowed to bring these care workers, sport workers, or healthcare assistants from abroad, and they can deploy these people in your home. But they need to come from these companies. An individual cannot apply to sponsor any care worker or sport worker in a private household.
Okay, thank you for that, Manava. One more thing, there's also another family friend who's currently completed her graduation. She's on graduate visa, and she's in a process of finding a job. She was asking me about skilled workers.
Yes, so Home Office have recently, this is again, as was discussing earlier, there has been a lot of changes in immigration laws, and it's always evolving, it's keep changing every now and then. So we always say that what advice we given today, or maybe what information we given today, is not relevant maybe next month, next week, next month, forgot about next month, it might not be relevant in next week. because immigration rules change so quickly. It can change overnight. So they there were in olden days, pre 2012, when the Home Office introduced maybe more than 50,000 changes in the immigration laws, and they have introduced this 18,600 pound requirement for spouse visas, and it went duration of settlement went from 2 years to 5 years. At the same time, they actually um closed the route of post-study work visa, which they now introduce again because of shortage of skilled workers and shortage of skilled labor in the UK, especially when post-Brexit, then they need to fill that gap, and that's why they introduce this graduate scheme, which is very relevant, very similar to old type of post-study work visa. So what happens? This scheme is introduced to keep the talent in the UK. So people who come here to study, maybe graduation or maybe master degree, they will be entitled to a post a graduate scheme visa, which is post study work visa. And during that time, they need to find a employer who can employ them in their relevant field, and they can switch their visa into a skilled worker visa, provided that the company they are working for, they already have a sponsorship, or they apply for sponsorship before they can switch to a skilled worker visa and they become their permanent employees.
Now, can anyone switch to skilled worker?
Uh, yes, they and no as well. Yes, in the sense, like if they meet the rule, if they meet the requirements, which are like to have appropriate English language skills, which is at the moment, then if they're doing IELTS, which is very common in Asian communities, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and China as well, and even America and Canada. So they need to score 4 bands in each components: writing, reading, speaking, listening, and it will be equivalent to B1. And that test need to be done by an applicant in a UK visas and immigration approved test centers. So not in olden days, they can do tests from any organization, and the Home Office used to accept that. But now, if the test center is not approved by the UK visa and immigration, then they will self-approve. They're called self-approved centers, which is secure English language testing system, and they won't accept that. So that's one requirement. Then they have to meet the maintenance requirement for, I think, a main applicant is at the moment £1,270. They need to have in their account for consecutive 28 days. So which means that the balance shouldn't drop less than £1,270 even in a single day. So this is they need to meet that. That is a maintenance requirement, and of course they need to have a sponsorship. From sponsorship, they will get something called a confirmation of sponsorship letter, which is cause letter, which contains all the terms and conditions on which they will be employed. It will contain their hours of they will gonna work. This contains their salary, whether they will what the job they will be doing. So if they get all these details, then of course they can switch to a skilled worker visa.
And does a skilled worker route lead to settlement?
Yes, once they complete 5 years on a skilled worker visa, whether with the same employer or with the different employers, they can apply for settlement after completing 5 years in that route.
Okay, and what about their dependents? Can they apply, or do they have to apply on their own right?
Dependents can apply. So if somebody is within the UK, they can apply same time. Even outside the UK, they can come together as a family member. So they have meet their own requirements. Thank God they don't have to meet the English language test. So they just need to join the main applicant. Even if they're married, so they just need to prove their relationship is genuine. They married genuinely, and then they can bring their spouses, and they can bring their children, and children under 18 years old, they come here, they will have free health services from NHS, free education, and then of course, as I mentioned earlier, this route leads to settlement, which means that they will get indefinite leave to remain after 5 years in this route, and then after 6 years they will get indefinite nationality as well, provided that they qualify for the nationality requirements.
Okay. The PBS dependent, do they have to work in the same field as the main applicant, or can they just do whatever work is suitable for them?
A very good question. Again, they are free to work anywhere, and they are not bound to work within the same employer because they are not sponsored. Their main applicant is only sponsor. The dependents can work anywhere and any hours, whether and they even allowed to open their own businesses.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm
Thank you
just
for
going to
that.
remind the listeners that we are running Bon Adams Legal Clinic show today. The topic of today was immigration, and you're listening to Radio Seerah. If you just tuned in, to just let you know, we covered immigration departments. Various routes like to come to the UK, spouse applications, spouse visas, how to sponsor skilled workers, or address your shortage of staff question in your business. And we are teams from Bon Adams Solicitors, and my name is Munawar, and as I mentioned in the beginning, and I am partner in Bon Adams Solicitors and deal with immigration. If you have any query about regarding immigration, we do personal immigration, business immigration. We help people to apply for sponsorship licenses and how to bring their staffs from abroad as well. We help in every sector, in restaurants and textile, in care homes, and in even domiciliary setup. So we helped a lot of people to get the licenses and bring the staff from abroad to address their shortage of occupation or labor market. The time is about to finish for this legal show. I'm just going to remind you that if you have any legal query, we are Bon Adam is a full-fledged service law firm which deals with family law, employment law, and civil litigation, and immigration, employment, landlord-tenant disputes. So if you have any queries, so you can contact our head office on London Road, which is, and on phone number 0116-285-8080, or you can send us a query on our email, which is lawyers@bonadams.com. Gate, this is, I think, we ran 2-3 minutes over the given time, so we're gonna finish this program here. So if you have any query, you can always contact us in our offices. We have 4 offices around the UK, 2 in Leicester and 94 London Road, and 220 Uppingham Road, and then we have office in 101 Soho Road, and we also have a new office in Aldershot to Alexandra Terrace. And if you have any queries, you can contact us via phone, via email, or you can go our website, which is www.bonadams.com. And thank you very much, listeners, and hopefully you have learned a lot from this show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.